Welcome to Dramatic Pause, a Rose Theater podcast. On today's episode, we will be talking to Katherine Carter, the director of our upcoming premium show, Disney Descendants. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Dramatic Pause, a Rose Theater podcast. We are welcoming a very special guest back to our channel, Katherine Carter, the director of our upcoming Disney Descendants. Katherine, would you do us the pleasure of introducing yourself and maybe talking a little bit about your experience with the road so far?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's so great to be back on the podcast. I love the name Dramatic Pause. And so always happy to chat about theater, the Rose, and all the fun stuff that comes with it. So I'm Katherine. My pronouns are she, her. I am a freelance director of theater and opera. I do a little bit of everything, plays, musicals, opera. And because I'm a freelancer, it means that I travel a lot of the year. So I'm so happy to be coming back to the Rose after having such a great time with Misunderstood um, this past spring. So yeah, I am coming back, and the my experience with the Rose has been awesome. I mean, something I love about working with the Rose and with Matt in the leadership position is that there's such great feedback and conversation about everything as we move through our space. There's a lot of great collaboration. Um, and I'm so grateful that I had Misunderstood to work with everyone before we dove into Descendants, because I think it really informed for me what the best way to make uh, art with this group is. And it's a really exciting group to make art with. So everyone's very playful and show forward. And yeah, I can't wait to come back. Not to mention, I'm a big Omaha fan. So I love the food.
Likewise, likewise.
Yeah.
That is, I think, one of the biggest, bonuses of living here is that the food is amazing. Alrighty,
Yeah. The food is awesome.
it is, yeah. So as you had mentioned previously in our other episode, we did talk about how Descendants was pushed back into the fall. How did that play out with the development of the show? What was it like to work, on the show during the pandemic?
Well, it's interesting because when we moved Descendants, um, it was like we hit a big pause button. And what's interesting is that Descendants, where we were in our process, was pretty late. I mean, we had made a lot of decisions. The design team and I were moving ahead. Everything was sort of rocking and rolling. And we were in this sort of like final phase of the design, right? Where it's like we're gonna have those final meetings, we're doing renderings, we're doing paint elevations, and all of a sudden it was just like a big like boop pause, and we all, or at least I, put it away. I like closed the binder and was like, well, I'll see you in a couple of months, and put it aside. And then we dove into Misunderstood, and Misunderstood, for everyone who saw it, was a complete joy. But it was something that we built uniquely for the Rose, and it was nothing like the Rose had ever done before. So there was a huge learning curve with everyone on that show, myself included, of just how do we create a concert for this time and this place, celebrating heroes and villains. How do we have these conversations? And so I dove headfirst into that. And when we had auditions coming back to the space of the Descendants to find our incredible cast, which is when we were talking, I was there for Misunderstood, was really exciting, and like a nice reminder that the show is coming up and how much I love the show. Uh, but I think the most interesting part about it for me is that in the last, while I was there for Misunderstood, like Sue Bouton and I had a couple of meetings about um, choreography and what numbers we're going to be in. Jerry and I were talking about the sound of Descendants, and like we had a couple meetings about Descendants, but there was so much to do for Misunderstood, there wasn't that space. So in this last month, all of those meetings have started up again, and uh I walked back. I was like building a Lego set, and I'm like walking back in and being like, oh right, right, we did this. Oh right, I like built that room already. So it's a lot of trusting past Katherine, and knowing that past Katherine made choices for a reason, even though it was almost a year ago at this point in time. So that's been sort of a crazy fun ride as I've started to re-prep and stage the Descendants of like, what do we do? Oh yeah. And it's been this rediscovery of how much I love the choices we made, which is such a gift because so often as directors, we are in it, we make all these choices, and we're not given the gift of space to like step back and look at what we've done. And for Descendants, I got that gift of space to step away and for the pandemic, and then come back and go, oh wow, we really made some great choices. So it's been such a lovely jolt of energy to
I'm
step back
glad
in.
that past Catherine was like sound of mind. I'm glad that future Catherine's like, yes, you were killing it.
Yeah, like yes, past Katherine, yes. Sometimes past Katherine says things like does things like puts props in shows, and I'm like, past Katherine, why do you put that prop in the show? Devin and I were talking about the props list, and I was like, I don't even remember what this was, and so I had to like go back and look. But it's fun. It's a nice way to. It's like I left myself a treasure map.
Nice. Yeah, that's a really good way of seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about how, you've had to kind of retrace your steps and kind of review things, see how it's going. Can you talk a bit more about your vision with Disney Descendants and your take on it? Considering that there's so much material out there with this storyline. What was your take on this like Wicked story?
Yeah, I mean, The Descendants is great, right? Because it's, my my boyfriend's two kids are 10 and 13, and they have been the best dramaturgs I could ask for. Because, talk about Descendants fandom, like every choice I made had to be vetted through the two of them and then my nieces and nephews. So I've been like crowdfunding the design. Uh, Here's what I love adaptations for the stage. The first thing I did as a director, out of college was create a company that was dedicated to adaptations for the stage. I think it is one of my favorite ways to look at stories that we know, um, through a new medium. Because when we change mediums, so many things change. Things are revealed, um, things are investigated, and I love doing adaptations. So when I was learning about the Descendants, or when Matt approached me about Descendants, the first thing I did was watch the movies. And I was taken by the fact that the stage adaptation isn't actually just the first movie. It's had a little bit of all of them, and it especially the songs. There are songs that are in the second movie that are in the Descendants, even though it follows most closely to the Descendants' first movie storyline. Um, and as I was approaching the work and sort of talking to the design team about it, my approach coming to this show is about bringing to life the friendships in this musical. What I love about Disney and the Descendants is that it's always, yes, there's like the adorable romantic things, and like yes, we have our high school crushes and our hearts get broken, like all that stuff is there and it's great. But what's more prevalent in the Descendants movies is this intensity of like friend love, and that this idea of like going and getting your friend and being there for your friend, and loyalty and camaraderie and lifting one another up and doing what is right versus doing what your parents have done or what other people did before you, and like questioning traditions. I mean, at the heart of it, the Descendant starts because a young kid decides to question his parents' choice and says, why are we separated from these people? This is wrong. I'm going to change it. And uh, how credible to get to tell a story like a group of young people growing up and investigating their world. Um, and it just so happens to be a Disney World. So like, I am thrilled to be able to have these very real, very prevalent, and very current issues of questioning and stepping away from what the last generation did to blaze your own trail, as seen through the incredibly colorful, vivid, out of this world lens of Disney. I mean, as someone who loves Disney, it's been so fun to play in this world. And the costume designs, Sherry and I are talking, we were designing, and I was talking about the villains, right? Because it's so easy to be like, oh, well, you just do the villains. But that's not as fun as like talking about who these villains are as humans, and like what would they wear if, you know, in our Descendants world. So my prompt for Sherry was that I was like, what if all the Descendants villains' parents, like the Maleficent, Grimhilda, the Evil Queen, Jafar, and Cruella, like were going to the Met Gala, and whatever they were wearing at the Met Gala is what they got trapped in on the Isle of the Lost. So and like they've been wearing the same outfit for however many years. So the clothes are insane in the best way. They're stunning. Sherry's designs are stunning. So anyways, my take on it is always my take. When I'm coming to a piece that's new and it's an adaptation, it's about honoring the original source material. It's about bringing forward the themes that are important to me and that speak to me directly, and that I hope others will be excited about. And it's about making a really good time. I mean, gosh, this musical is so fun. The songs are bops. The choreography is going to be lit. I don't know if people are saying things are lit anymore, but insert phrase here. Um, I'm looking forward to families coming to the Rose and just having a really great time. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree that the music is just out of this world. It is, the perfect, I like to say, cleaning music. I will be listening to Chillin' Like a Villain as I am sweeping every shelf in my room. And I
Totally.
have a 8-year-old brother, and he is like, anytime I play the music for any video, he loses his mind. So I completely understand about the kiddos at home.
Yeah, we love the kids.
And I love the vision that you had of just being like the Met Gala and they're stuck in these fabulous fancy gowns. Like I think that's gonna be amazing to see on stage. So I'm very excited. So
And
you
the set, I have to brag on
yes.
Bridget, our set designer, who also did. Um, I was like, it's like a Amalfi Coast, and I want levels. And she's created this, and I was like, it's Polly Pocket. I was like, I want a Polly Pocket castle, and she made it. She made a Polly Pocket castle. So we have all of these like hidden rooms and things come out, and there's so many surprises in the set, um, that's going to be a joy to play with. And the Rose is such a beautiful theater inside, and the way that we've created the set, it will ideally really transport you as you walk in the theater. So I'm visually, I'm extremely excited about the show.
Oh, it sounds like it's coming together really well. You previously mentioned how you were really excited because you got an opportunity to work with a lot of the cast members in Misunderstood. If I remember
Yes,
correctly, I
yes,
Ronnie Shelley Perez is coming back. She's going to be our Mal. I believe also Lauren Kripsky is coming back
mm-hmm,
as well as a fairy godmother, and I believe next year for Maria, if I remember correctly.
yes,
And then Trey, oh Meltlink. I can't pronounce his name the really well, but he I believe is playing Ben, and he was also in
he
Misunderstood.
is.
Can you talk a bit about the talent that is going to be involved, and kind of
Yeah,
just talk about the audition process and all of that jazz?
sure. I mean, uh, Trey, Ronnie, and I have already started like joking about how much fun it's going to be to have them be in love in Descendants. We're just over the moon joyful about it. The Misunderstood cast was incredible. What a gift to work with those five singers, and get to know them as human beings and as artists. For almost all of them, it was their first show back in person, and that comes with a lot of emotional hiccups, because you're getting back in the swing of things, and they were all such professionals and so giving of their time. For those of you who saw Misunderstood, Lauren Krupski doing Little Girls will forever be my favorite number of all time, and I'm still trying to get Matt to agree to make that the promo video for Sound of Music, but I think that idea is going to happen. But I digress. So Ronnie and Trey are going to be incredible as the leads. They have such a lovely chemistry on stage, and they're such good friends outside of the theater that it's going to translate really well. Such a sense of play for them, and these like larger than life moments. And Lauren, I really loved that I got to play with her in these weird, obscure roles, because when we get to Fairy Godmother, it's going to be so. It's Fairy Godmother so buttoned up, but she has these great comic timing lines. So I'm looking forward to that with Lauren. Um, the audition process from Descendants was hard. We had an incredible amount of talent audition for the show. I mean, I was blown away. The pre-screening process was extensive. And to narrow it down for those who got callbacks was really tough. It was really tough. I when I cast based on a couple things. One of my biggest things is like what is the group of people I am bringing together to share space and to play make believe, because that's what we're doing, right? Like we're playing make believe together in a shared space. So I want to make sure that everyone's energies are going to vibe together, which can sound very woo woo, but that's too bad. That's how I direct. Um, and I also look at who there's two ways to cast, right? Like you can have like you're gonna play the role of Mal, and you read the role of Mal and you're like, oh, I know what this role is, and then you look for the actor that fits exactly that. That's one way of doing it. I like to do it the other way. I like to get to know the show, get to know a couple qualities about the role, and then let the actors tell me what roles they are. Because I'm not directing Disney The Descendants Mal as Mal. I am doing Ronnie's Mal. I'm doing Trey's Ben. These actors are unique individuals, and they are going to bring such depth and clarity to these characters and these situations that is going to be different than the movie, because it should be, because it's theater. These are different actors. We are not imitating the Descendants the movie. And the same thing with the rest of the evils. We have Dina, and we have Dina, Brianna, and Summer rounding out rounding out the evils with Mal, and those four they killed the audition. I just kept coming back to them. I kept trying, I was like, because you look at those four evils and you really want to make sure all the energies match. And those four just fell into place. I was like, absolutely, those are the four. And there were some tough competitions for those roles. And then from there, it's just like it's about building who's going to come and make strong choices. So it's definitely the Rose's Descendants, right? Like this is not, if you were coming for like a carbon copy of the movie, um, you're not going to get it. You're going to get something much greater. You're going to get something that is completely unique and that is the movie and not the movie all at the same time. You're going to have real humans on stage bringing these characters to life and highlighting new parts of the character that you didn't maybe see in the movie. So it was tough. Auditions were, I mean, so again, auditions were really hard. A lot of actors reached out to me and asked why they weren't cast. And the truth of the matter is everyone's audition was great. It's just simply about you only have so many roles, and you want them to go to the right fit for this moment in time for this production. So I am really excited.
Yeah, I imagine once you get such a crowd of amazing people, you have to like nitpick at that point to really get like the winner because of the amount of talent in the room.
Yeah, and I don't like I'm going to correct the word winner because I don't think that's appropriate. Only because I think that when we think about getting a role as winning, it means that you beat someone.
It's
And
true.
nobody beat anybody else. There are no winners, there are no losers. This is one of the cast of Disney's The Descendants of the Rose. From the audition pool, there were 8 other casts that any of them could have gotten the roles. This happens to be the one that the stars aligned in that moment. The energy was all there. The audition showed me what I needed to see, and that's what happened. It is such theater and the arts and auditioning and getting jobs is such a combination of like talent, timing, luck, and like what mood the director is in.
Really appreciate that correction because I agree. No, I'm very happy that you pointed that out when I mentioned that because, like you said, I think it is very common to depict it that way. So I
Yeah,
agree.
we say things like, "Oh, so and so won the role of blank," and I'm like, "Oh, well, art's not qualifiable."
No,
So thank you for giving me that space. I appreciate it.
no, I know, of course. No, and anytime I think it is very important to, call those moments out and, bring it attention because it is important to kind of perceive it in the correct way. You talked about how you had this kind of like Polly Pocket Castle and how there's like all of these like different like hidden doors and like these like things that just come together. So are there any scenes or moments that you are super excited for since rehearsals will be starting soon? Anything that you envision unfolding in a cool or exciting way?
I am really excited for the good is the new bad sequence. It's right after the evils have arrived in Ardon, and it's this sequence where like they go to chemistry class and like it is sort of this like montage of like music, dance, and scenes, and it's going to be a huge undertaking, and I am really excited to like get to play with all the sets because desks are moving in and out, and we have crosses and backpacks, and like everyone's gonna have like different featured moments, and I am really excited for that sequence because I love those big sequences. And it's such an awesome moment to remind us that we're not in a movie, right? Like in Descendants, the movie, we can just cut to another classroom, but you can't do that in theater. So I'm really excited for Good is the New Bad. I'm also excited for Evil Like Me because we have Leanne and Ronnie as our Maleficent and Mal, and those are two just powerhouse performers. And Evil Like Me is like this vaudeville camp number that I am just dying to get in the room with those two women and play around and make some big beautiful choices. And then I'm the third thing I'm really excited for is something I actually can't say a lot about, but it's the final scene in the musical where like every the big denouement. And I'm excited to stage and see to bring that life to life because there's a lot of magic and there's a lot of movement and but you should come see it to see what I'm talking about because I can't tell you the end.
Yeah, with that in mind, yeah, come watch Disney Descendants. It's starting September 10th all the way through October 10th. Book your tickets now specifically because they are filling up soon and get a chance to see that wonderful sneak peek of the amazing final scene that Catherine was hinting at. Is going to be blowing everyone away. So thank you so much, Catherine. I really appreciate you coming on and kind of talking about your take and how things are developing.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.